WeCulture is about using core values to govern behavior and action to drive results. If you use WeCulture in your business, you may go through the process that's outlined in the book to define your core values, and they may be different than these. But these were ours, and I want to share them with you because they're a great way to help us drive our business and drive how we interacted with each other. The first one was pedal the bike, okay? And when we were sitting down going through pedal the bike is really by having all the players focus on a common goal. And we were in a sales environment, so people were paid an individual contribution. In the beginning when I got there, they were measured an individual contribution in a scorecard. So what we did was we changed our score. We didn't change the way we compensated people, but what we did was we changed the way we measured success. And what we did was we measured success against the entire team's success. We outlined each individual's contribution to the team's success, but we didn't succeed as individuals. We succeeded or failed as a team. We made goals and achieved goals as a team. We missed goals as a team. And what this basically did was gave people ownership of the people around them. You know, Will and I I grew up in the staffing business. I also worked in ocean transportation. But I would think that in any environment, no one works in a vacuum, no one works alone, and they always depend on other people to be successful. So if you measure the overall success of a group based on if the team succeeds or fails, more individuals will tend to give their best because they don't want to let the person sitting next to them down, right? And if you have the right people, they'll make it about the person sitting next to them too. They'll work hard not just for themselves, they'll work hard to make sure they succeed for the people that are sitting next to them. So this is a big part of our first core value and a cornerstone for how we governed our behavior, that everybody pedaled the bike together. We're all pedaling in the same direction. Our next core value was be positive, right? You know, I think people thrive in an environment where people say we can, not we can't. And when people are thinking we can, this creates innovation and it's inspiration to fuel new ideas, to fuel people's energy, to really keep things moving in the right direction. Anything's possible in a business environment if you start with we can, right? And there are lots of examples in the book I use through history. I use, you know, one was Kennedy moon landing. You know, I don't know how many people are history buffs. I'm a history buff. The moon landing all started with President Kennedy saying, we're putting men on the moon. And then they had to figure out how to do it. And when you break things down into small tasks thinking we can, the impossible goal becomes possible because you start working on the steps that are possible along the way to make the impossible possible, right? And we made this a big part of what we did. And the big cornerstone of this was client first, always focus on the solution, and a big one. And we talk about this. We talk about organizational cancer or organizational or corporate cancer. Blame is a form of cancer to a business. It eats away at a business. Blame has no place in the work environment. And part of being positive is when people make honest mistakes, we don't focus on blame. We put the client first, the solution first. And what we do is we tell people it's okay to make mistakes. And it helps invite the person who made the mistake into the problem. And for those of you who've been in the thick of a situation, you might have figured out that sometimes the person who made the mistake is often the person you need the most to help you to solve the problem because they know what happened. They were there. And if they're focused on being blamed or getting in trouble, they tend to withhold that information. So we took blame out of the equation and it helped us really focus on problem solving. And it helped us be positive and it helped us communicate better as a team and helped us work together and accomplish more as a team. Our third core value, honest and ethical. You know, and it's about trust, internal and external to the organization. It's about honest feedback, internal and external to the organization. And it really encourages people when you're under pressure. If people feel like they can be honest, we can really cut to the chase and solve problems very quickly, right? And if people feel they can be honest, and honesty is safe in your environment, peer-to-peer, or through the chain of command, what happens is little problems come to your desk, peer-to-peer, or through the hierarchy much faster. And if people feel like they can't be honest about a challenge they're facing or a problem they have, problems don't sit well. They only get worse with time. They very rarely go away on their own. And usually the quicker you get to a situation that's not going well or something that's going wrong and people can be honest and come talk to you about it, you'll tend to solve that problem very quickly and have very little impact to the organization or minimize or mitigate risk to the organization. You know, I'll give you an example, and this is something that we live by in the organization. I often heard this phrase, and it kind of stuck with me, and I feel differently about it. People would say, you know, after you hire them, people have to earn trust. You know, you have to watch people closely after you hire them. And I always thought there was something wrong with that. I always thought to myself, why would I hire somebody I don't trust? So my first thought process is to be really honest and ethical about people, what we expect, and then trust them that they'll do it until they show me, until we're shown that there's a reason we can trust them. And very often people wouldn't violate that trust. If you give trust first, you often put people in a situation where they feel more comfortable, and also you put yourself in a situation you can learn, because if you give trust, people can't use the excuse that they don't trust you is because you didn't offer them trust first. So we use it to build relationships, internal and external to the organization, and trust went up and down the hierarchy and peer-to-peer across desks. And it really encouraged people to work together.